There is a nationalist movement. There is a more right-leaning conservative movement that is definitely rising up across the globe, and you are seeing those on the left. The Polish election right now. But I think actually best to do this is Gerald. It's time for Gerald Knows Things.
Every single time. It's just a continuous troll of my life.
Yes. So far, right. I love the stinger. I think we spared no expense.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So the polls went to the polls. I'm sorry.
Well, before I get it.
Lane wrote it that way.
That's okay. But I will say this. The conservative guy won, the pro-Polish values, traditional values, vetting migrants.
Not open borders.
But there's a twist. There's an M. Night Shyamalan-like election.
Well, sort of. There's a little bit of a twist, right? So they went to the polls, and the first exit polls actually showed the opposing candidate, the guy who would be more like EU policies, like open borders and all that stuff, Rafał Trzaskowski, with him having a narrow victory, and it actually prompted him to go so far as to declare himself the winner.
Oh, no.
Zwyciężyliśmy!
Pretty clear.
We won!
I was thinking, like, what's he going to say that's like, what is this claim? Oh, we won. Those words. Okay.
No. It's not like, hey, things are looking good.
Yeah.
Right. He went out and declared victory, but afterwards...
For those just tuning in, by the way, fact check false.
Fact check's false. So afterwards, the Trump-backed candidate essentially won, and he is the conservative candidate. Karol Nawrocki, he was declared the winner by just under 2 points. So he'll have 10. I love this party.
It's going to continue 10 years.
Party. It's the fun party.
It's going to be a part of the continuation of 10 years of control from a more conservative party.
So this guy's a former heavyweight champion over there, very pro. Like you would recognize him in the MAGA movement essentially if he was over here in the United States. But he ran on essentially strengthening the alliance with the United States, increasing the military spending, maintaining strong borders, anti-abortion,
We will make sure abortion is kept strong.
Our women will do it themselves.
These forceps are steel.
Yes,
true Polish steel, my friend. No alloys.
Yeah, and he's definitely
no painkillers.
All right, so anti-abortion, and he's anti-same-sex civil partnerships, which he has a unique way of driving home at the debates and speeches.
Let's see it.
Zawsze z tą piękną polską biało-czerwoną flagą i ją będę reprezentował. Mam też, drodzy Państwo, dla pana Rafała Trzaskowskiego, bo ostatnio ucieka od tej symboliki mojego szefa sztabu, którego już wymieniał. Ścigał za to, że pokazał zdjęcie z flagą LGBT z Gazety Wyborczej, więc panie Rafale, ja z biało-czerwoną flagą zawsze na całym świecie od wielu lat i w przyszłości, a inni.
So, for those of you who are just listening to audio, he's like, I have Polish flag. My opponent here has rainbow flag because he loves floppy dicks. And he put it at his podium. He's like, there you go. Yeah, lick it. You are gay. My opponent is gay. And he won.
Great use of props.
It was fantastic.
Exactly. Now look, so this is not the prime minister. That's Donald Tusk, which sounds like a mixture of Donald Trump and Elon Musk put together.
Yeah.
But that's a liberal kind of guy. But he's in a very precarious position right now. Though the new president of Poland, he won't have any real power to push forward legislation necessarily, but he will have a lot of power in blocking bad policies.
Right.
But it also does kind of make him a lame duck prime minister in Donald Tusk, because now you've got this movement of conservatives in the country, and hopefully that ends up with a conservative prime minister. They can call a snap election or do something like that and see what happens. But he's in a bad spot for it, so that's good. Good job, Poland.
Yes.
You guys are doing well.
I want to go on to the next. But by the way, if you have not yet, download the Rumble app, follow us there. If you're watching on YouTube, or if you follow me on Facebook or X, this is the best place to download it. Yeah. You can watch, you can listen, you can lock your phone, and you get notified when we are live, which of course is weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern. There is what the left tried to label nationalist, right-wing nationalist. There is a nationalist movement. There is a more right-leaning conservative movement that is definitely rising up across the globe, and you are seeing those on the left use any methods necessary, possible to try and quell it. And
even
that brings
in Germany and Poland, and now obviously Brazil seems to be like one of the founding members of doing this.
Yes.
Right? So you've got the judge on Monday, the one we've talked about all the time, Alexandre de Moraes. He launched an investigation into Eduardo Bolsonaro, and according to the prosecutor general, Bolsonaro.
And by the way, keep in mind, Bolsonaro was the leader of Brazil, and would have been the leader of the opposing party, the conservative party, to this judge's party, to the man who is ruling now. The Supreme Court has overwhelming power. Yeah, blocked Rumble.
Twitter at a time until they capitulated, obviously X. But he's saying that Bolsonaro's actions now, remember, in the United States, including meetings with, and we quote, including meetings with the lawmakers, speeches at conservative events, and public statements.
Here, I'll read it against
Brazil. Oh, do it. You got to do
it. We will prosecute because he's doing in United States, including meets with lawmakers, speeches at conservative events, and public statements urging sanctions against Morales amount to an effort to intimidate investigators and to interfere in the judicial process.
That's judicial. Moraes. I said Moraes. My apologies. You should have admonished me.
Okay. And actually, Bolsonaro.
Hold on. I want this. I deserve that one. It's fine when I deserve it. It's just not when I don't.
And Brazil is in a tough spot. This man is corrupt, this justice. Yeah. And by the way, you think, hey, there's a justice in Brazil, who cares? Well, they wield a lot of power in Brazil. And by the way, they wield a lot of power in international governing bodies.
Justice is here doing it to Donald Trump. That was the whole thing that these guys were talking to us about, is don't let the United States become like Brazil is now, where one guy who's a judge is going after everybody.
The entire nation of Brazil, the people there, cannot legally get information on Rumble or from their own journalists because of this judge. That's how severe it is. Don't ask yourself what the left does with the power they currently have in the United States. Ask yourself, what would they do with unfettered power?
Yeah.
And there is no exception historically. This is par for the course. And actually, a member of the Bolsonaro family, friend of the show, sent us an exclusive video outlining this case.
The establishment of Brazil, they were used to mock me, and now they woke up after the Congressman Cory Mills asked Secretary Marco Rubio about the possibility to sanction Moraes. And Rubio answered during this hearing in the Congress that, yes, they are analyzing that, and there is a great possibility that this is going to happen. So now, what the regime in Brazil is doing, they are reacting. Just this open investigation against me, for sure, everything in the name of the great democracy that we have in Brazil. And also they are coming after my father, the former president of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro, saying that he has 10 days to explain why he was sending money to his son in the United States, in the case, me, and also threatening to freeze his banking accounts. It's just like all of the other dictatorships around the world. They threat the families of the exiled who are abroad, denouncing the human rights violation that they are committing all the time. And more than that, they are also invading the U.S. jurisdiction when, for example, they do not permit Truth Social and Rumble to come to Brazil. And also, Alexandre de Moraes, he was sending arresting warrants against American citizens, just like Flávia Cordeiro and some other exiled journalists. Let's see what happened, but I really believe that sanctions on Moraes are very close.
Well, thank you, Mr. Bolsonaro, for saying that. I hope that he's right. And we're very sheltered from this in the United States. The closest we've experienced to this, obviously, is what happened with Donald Trump. They tried to render the man ineligible. They tried to rake him over the coals and, of course, used every single weaponizing tactic of our intelligence agencies and our courts. They politicized them to try and destroy the man, to try and take away his livelihood, and then, of course, the rhetoric led to taking his life. This goes on across the globe. Whenever someone says freedom of speech, it doesn't exist anywhere outside the United States, period. Not even close to it. Even the ones that Australia, no. Canada, no. UK, no. Germany, certainly not. Brazil, no. It's not a thing. And the left has pointed to Brazil as an example. The left has pointed to Canada as an example. Ask yourself what the left would do if they had unfettered power. And imagine packing the courts as Biden wanted to do here.
Yeah, no kidding.
With more judges like this. And the Brazilian government, by the way, they try and hide these stories from their citizens completely, just like American media. They do that. And then they obviously complain about news deserts. And by that, they mean legacy media isn't available in certain areas in this country. You've heard of food deserts. Remember, they now say news deserts. Next story here. This is just really kind of cool.
Yeah,
I don't like Zelensky, just to be clear. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Putin either. But this one was pretty badass.
This is one of those that they'll make a movie about later on, right? So this is something that we saw over the week in Ukraine.
Zelensky will star in it.
Yes.
Yeah. He'll have a piano scene, I'm sure.
Another Academy Award.
There was some drone attacks across 5 different regions in Russia, inflicting insane amounts of damage from very far away from Ukraine.
Well, let me just explain it before we see the montage. So drones, they smuggled into Russia on these trucks. They smuggled drones on these trucks. This has been planned for about a year and a half. They were remotely released, and then they took out some aircraft, by the way, including some nuclear-capable sort of strategic bombers. This was taking place over a year and a half, smuggled this in on trucks, and just lit up some strategic areas and equipment of Russia. And we have a montage that's pretty cool.
Ukraine has carried out coordinated drone attacks at several military air bases across Russia, as far away as eastern Siberia. At least 40 Russian aircraft were hit, causing billions of dollars worth of damage. The attacks come ahead of Monday's prospective ceasefire talks in Istanbul.
Look, released remotely from a truck. Bing, bang. You won't be needing this plane.
They're just flying out of these trucks. I'm not kidding. Oh no!
Снимаю, вон горит. А вон пожарка приехала, наверное. А нет, STUNS горит.
I wouldn't go in there, buddy.
Yeah, that's another, Then they blew up some of the trucks.
Well,
people are like, I can fix this. I will get in truck. I will drive it. And I will say this. Putin, I guarantee you, Vladimir Putin, who obviously hates Zelensky, he was probably like, all right, that is... I respect... Game respects game, okay? Like, this is good. I will kill you, but...
You're getting better.
This is that's one for you, little man who plays piano with penis.
This is a big deal. This is obviously the furthest they've ever been able to strike inside of Russia. They struck like forever away, like on the other side of Russia from where Ukraine is located. And they hit these drones in the top of these trucks and then remotely. So they hired Russian drivers who had no idea what was going on to go and park these trailers wherever they wanted them. And they did it. And some of them were late, and so they self-destructed on the way. It's kind of a report that's out there right now. So there were supposed to be several other trucks, but it was like,
hey, get your job done, bro. You won't die.
Vodka, and they showed up late. But then these things just start flying out of the top of it, just sitting there. And there's nothing you can do. And then they have a self-destruct feature to blow it up at the end. And that last video, that was literally a guy going in there saying, all right, I'm going to take a Russian guy going in there, and the thing just blows up. Like, it's insane. And
the punishment for those truck drivers who didn't know.
They have no idea.
Just imagine he's driving.
They're dead.
Life is a highway. I'm going my way. Oh, what is that? Oh, that must be drone I get at Costco. It's self-operational. Okay.
By the way, can you imagine the balls that it takes to execute this the day before you walk into negotiations in Istanbul? And it's like, how are those blades? It's so funny to me. I'm like, geez.
I get it. Yes. I respect. And as far as drones taking out planes, with from what I understand, very minimal collateral damage.
Yeah, the pilots. I mean, these planes are just sitting out there on the tarmacs, essentially.
I don't want us to be involved. This is just me objectively a play-by-play. It's pretty damn cool. And Zelensky actually posted more than once about the attack on X.
Yeah.
And the whole world, including his enemies, sometimes are reacting. It's an audio. It makes no sense.
I would get a paternity test.
Yes, I would too.
I'm sure he's done that on multiple pianos.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, Mr. Yamaha.
My new baby boy Yamaha.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Now listen, there could be some side effects to this.
Yes, there
maybe
could.
are unwanted. It's kind of like, you take a medication and all of a sudden your penis falls off. I don't know, for Pride Month. But in this case, it could be really bad. Like Putin could be boxed into a bit of a corner because he's been made a fool of on the international stage now.
Yeah.
Even more so than recently that has been done. And last time negotiations were supposed to start, Putin was the jerk who invaded and sent more rockets into Russia.
Look,
so I get it. Into Ukraine.
I want this war to end, but I will say that this is the language that Putin understands his strength. And so them having a few wins, meaning Ukraine, will make them more likely, everyone to sit at the table and say, okay, let's end this. If they fear that there are more capabilities, I don't want us paying for it.
You got 1,000 more trucks floating around Russia. Maybe you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if Zelensky's smart, he'll say, we have 20 more of these attacks planned.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I'm just impressed the old Trojan horse tactic still works.
I know.
It does.
Viable option.
Hey guys, you won't believe it. We were just gifted a brand new Tacoma.
Oh no!
But you got Tacoma Mine's a Ranger. It is gay. Now.
Wait till you find out what's coming from those migrants that came through the last few years.
Oh, you're still here watching this on YouTube? There's no more. It's over. Just like YouTube. YouTube is over. It's not a thing anymore. How many Seth Meyers clips do you need? Head on over to Rumble. Follow me there. Live on weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern, where we can actually speak freely and don't have to self-censor. YouTube it's really not a thing. Like, you ever seen one of those towns that maybe was like a mining town, or maybe they made some kind of alloy? You say, hey, I wonder what they did in this town. It takes a while to find a person who can tell you what they did in that town, and even then you don't fully understand it. That's YouTube. YouTube is that town. So go to Rumble.